Hey style friend, what's inspiring you for spring and summer this year? Well, I thought I'd share with you two things that are inspiring me and sort of play with them a little bit here with you today. And let me know if any of them inspire you, which one you like better. I did post it on Instagram last week and I got a lot of different and interesting responses. But let's talk about two things that are inspiring me, how I might make them work, and how I might be able to combine them. That was one of the suggestions I got on Instagram. So let's talk about it. So here's number one. It's a scarf that was a Christmas present. I love the colors in this, but when I look at it, so when I'm thinking about style inspiration, I'm thinking about the feeling and I'm thinking about the colors and how they're gonna work for me and my personality, my style, my lifestyle, and all of that stuff. So hopefully maybe you can take a little bit of this and apply it to your wardrobe and your inspiration. So let's talk. So the neutrals in this are kind of white or a soft white. I would choose denim because denim is always one of my neutrals, and then brown. There's a little bit of navy in here as well. The accents in here that I'm seeing the most of are purples, greens, some blushy pink, right? And then I kind of jotted navy because a couple of the bugs and birds are navy. So over here on this side, I need to kind of wave over here, waving over here, over there, you can see, and I hope that, oh, I don't even know if it's the right direction because everything turns around on film. Anyway, oops. So we've got the neutrals here at the top. I have the colors down here at the bottom. Now, shades of green are kind of all one color, right? And then so I basically have 3 neutrals and 3 accent colors. That feels a little heavy, but because these two are sort of related, pinks and purples, they don't feel too overwhelming. They're kind of within a family. So, okay. So how might this work? Well, I would probably, actually, it's sort of here behind me, and when I played, and I will link the video where I played with this scarf with some browns and blues, so I'll link that here for you. But if I was doing this, I would probably make sure I had a column of color, so top and a bottom that match in each of my 3 neutrals, and then I would have accents, so maybe that's tops, maybe that's shoes, maybe that's purses, accents here in my accent colors. And so that is basically how I would structure this. Now, does this kind of acidy green in the scarf work for me? Not so much for my coloring, but I love it anyway. So what I would probably do is I have a pair of white shoes that have got a little bit scuffed up, white leather shoes. So I think I would order myself some Angela's Angela's leather paint, and I'll link to Angela's down below. And I think I would paint them in that bright green, and that way I would have a really fun pop of that screaming green to add to my wardrobe in a way that isn't very expensive and isn't a whole huge commitment. So that's kind of one of my options. Now, this softer, kind of less high contrast combination of colors works really well for my softer, lower contrast coloring. And if you don't know what I mean by high contrast and low contrast, I'll link an article about that below. It also goes well because I have plenty of neutrals to mix with a color to go with my 2N+1C coloring, because I have colored eyes. You probably can't see that in the video here, but my eyes are green, brown, hazel. There's quite a bit of green in them. And so I always look my best when I'm wearing at least one color, because if I dress in all neutrals from head to toe, I get lost. Like it drabs me out. That's about the only way I can put it. It drabs me out. So if you want to know more about color contrast, article down below in the description. I guess I need to do a video about each of those. Anyway, on the schedule, drop it on the schedule. So let's talk about the second inspiration that has been making me kind of go, ooh, and you'll know they both have birds because I'm feeling very bird-ish. So let me go, come on, give me this, go down. There we go. So this bright bird has been making me really, really happy. Super happy. Just love him. He's looking cheerful, little fat chest, love him. I have a thing for birds. I'm not a bird watcher, but I do love birds. So what are the colors in this? Neutrals, white, navy and denim, and gray. The accents would be blush and pink. And then this kind of gold, bright gold. And then there's a little bit of black in here as well. Black is a little overwhelming for my coloring, and gold does not work for my coloring at all. So I would have to make sure I played with this with accents rather than, for example, a shirt. It's not gonna work for me. Now, lemony yellows work a little bit better, but I don't love them. For me, they're not one of my signature colors. So how would this play out? So like I said, 3 colors, basically 2 colors, sorry, 3 neutrals, 2 colors, and then 1 darker accent that I wouldn't make a whole column of this because it's just too heavy for my coloring. And it, what's the word I want to use? It creates a body focus rather than a face focus because it's too heavy for my coloring, too deep. So, okay, you can see we've got some overlap here between the two. Now the question is, my style recipe, no, I don't want to say recipe, my style cocktail is mischievous femi-modern. And as I look both at this bird and at these birds above, now this is very much more kind of a softer, more I don't want to say traditional because the color combination is a little bit wild, but it's much softer and more feminine. I'm not feeling a whole lot of modern to it. The bird down here feels a little bit sassier, a little saucier, a little bit more mischievous. So I could say for my style, I really need to go for this bird here, for my inspo, rather than the other. Except that I'm feeling like I need a little bit more softness in my life right now because of a bunch of stuff that's going on in my world. Right? Because our wardrobe is supposed to support us. And I talked about that in a video before. I'll link it wherever that goes. I'll link you that video about, is your wardrobe working for you as in helping to support you? So let's talk about combining those 2 palettes and whether it's really gonna work. And how that's gonna work is it's gonna depend, and I need to move my little blob here. It's really gonna depend on, are you an options person or are you a limits person? Right? Some people like lots of choices. Some people prefer less choice. Some people find too much choice overwhelming. And that might be due to who you are, your personality, it could have to do with how you grew up. It could just have to do with the season in life you're in, right? So you might be in a season of life where lots of options is overwhelming because you're having to make so many other choices that you'd rather make fewer choices in your wardrobe. That is okay. You get to decide what works for you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually copy and paste these and see, oh, come on, let me move that over there. Oh, it's not gonna let me copy and paste them while I'm in, oh, come on. Oh, all right, so I'm just gonna have to move them. I think I can move them around. All right, so no, I can only move me around. All right, so if we look at this, if I combine them, I'm going to end up, just a second. Just give me a second and we're gonna combine them. Hold right there. Thanks for sticking with me. Technical difficulties, just some days. Technology, it's a love-hate relationship. Anyway, so I'm back, and so what I did was I pulled the colors from each. So you can see these are the colors from this scarf here. And below are the colors from this image here, this inspiration. And both of these could be great inspirations for my spring summer wardrobe. But let's see what kind of crossover we have. Well, you can see we've got white in both. We've got navy/denim/blue in both. We have that blush pink in both. And then that's the overlap. So when we get rid of those, let's see, there we go. So we end up, as we kind of shift and shuffle things a little bit, we end up with 4 neutrals: white, denim/navy. So that's actually kind of 5 there if we think about that. Brown and gray. So 4/5 neutrals, and then accent colors. So we have the pinks, we have purple, we have yellow, and we have the greens. So pinks, purple, yellow, green. And then there's that little accent of black over there, which isn't technically a color, it's a neutral, but it's sort of a lot more in there. So what happens when I look at this is I personally am more of a limits person. So this is too much for me. I am happiest with 3 neutrals, and we've got 4/5. And I'm happiest with 2 accent colors and maybe 1 other little tiny one for a pop. So there's just too much, and I'm a fan of color, right? But to say that there's just too much color going on here for me. So I'm gonna have to make a decision for me, for my kind of brain, And if I eliminate things from here, I can still use either of these options as a dressing inspiration, right? So if I took out the gray, for example, if we made that gray disappear, I could still dress for this little robin over here using the blues and the whites and then some of my accent colors, right? I could create this over here easily if I took out, even if I took out the brown, I'd still like to have, maybe then I would move brown as the accent over here, but I could still create using the blues and the whites and the pinks and the greens. So I could still use either of these inspirations as an outfit inspiration versus my wardrobe inspiration. So it's gonna come down to which neutrals, as I start pulling things, which neutrals just feel better for me for this season, and then which accent colors are going to feel better. And like I said, you know, if I get rid of some of these accent colors and get rid of some of these neutrals, I can still play with either of these inspirations for an outfit, but it's not going to be the same. So I hope that sort of let you in a little bit on my thought process. Let me know what's inspiring you. Is there anything that's inspiring you for this season? If so, drop a link to it in the comments below, because I'd love to know what's making your heart sing for spring, summer, or for my Southern Hemisphere friends, fall, winter, because I'm all about living in both hemispheres. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, which one would you choose as a capsule inspiration, or maybe neither works for you. Do you have some? If so, share it. I'd love to know. Stay safe and sound sane and stylish. Oh, by the way, if you're watching and you're getting anything great out of this, please subscribe so that you don't miss another video. Because about 70+% of you who watch these aren't subscribed, and I'd love to be there for you. Stay safe and sound sane and stylish. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And if you find this helpful, share it with a friend. Because I don't have to be just your secret. I can be everybody's secret. Bye. And it's the buttons. So